Darryl Banks, right here, Heroes Convention in Charlotte. Blerd Together interview. The man himself, right here, Mr. Darryl Banks. Pleasure to meet you, my friend.
Nice to meet you too.
Well, we already met. That's how we got this interview secured. But the fans out there that have never met you or aren't aware of your work, what do you think they need to know about you?
Well, I've been illustrating professionally since 1989, but people mainly know me for my work at DC Comics on Green Lantern. It came out as Grease. That shows you I just had breakfast. A show like Heroes is not typical of any other convention. I've never been this busy consistently in my career. Love this show. If you're ever in the area, or if not in the area, I highly suggest checking out this show. The wide variety of talent, diversity, products, etc. I know I sound like a commercial for the convention, but man, I'm blown away. I do 14 shows a year, but this is unique. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I'm a graduate of the Columbus College of Art and Design, and growing up, I always liked art, comic books in particular, and I always wanted to do that professionally. And you know, if there's ever an overnight sensation where people get things right away, I was the opposite of that. It was a long, hard road, but it helped me, especially when I used to teach at Columbus College of Art and Design. I want to encourage anyone, whether you're an artist or whatever you want to do, to follow your passion, but be prepared to work.
Oh, that's a great message. And I really wanted to get in touch with you for this interview because being a veteran artist in the game that has worked on the professional level, that has worked with Marvel and DC specifically, you know, I want to know what is your best experience, your most positive experience in the business as a artist of color, and what is your most negative experience in the business?
I really don't have anything that jumps out as far as negative that I can really pinpoint. Positive, I love the fact that I'll get like a family, like parents and like small children, and they go, you know, I want my son or my daughter to get into art, but they're really not sure how, or they have the talent, but they seem really withdrawn. I like seeing that because that was me. As far as needing that encouragement, and you know, not a lot of children get encouragement with creative things, but you know, if you're a parent, you know, I'm not going to tell you how to raise your children, but you know, you're doing a powerful thing, especially in this day and age, for children to have a positive outlet, especially that's creative. You want to be able to understand that it's like a domino effect, because they're going to be doing something creative and positive, and their friends will see that, and then their friends will see that, and next thing you know, it's creating a new peer dynamic of positive thinking people. Okay, not just people of color, but all people, but particularly people of color, because there's too many negative images as if it's some kind of a norm, and it is not.
Right.
It's not. Don't believe everything you see on that screen. There are people of color doing some great things, and we want to add to that in any way possible. And so I once heard someone say, "There's nothing like a sporting event that brings people together." I respectfully disagree. I think a comic convention, especially one like this, has more diversity than you'll see at any NFL game, NHL game, you name it. You've got everyone from every race, color, religion, lifestyle, you name it. You're not going to see that cross section like you would at a comic convention. It's like no matter who we are, inside or outside, we like some kind of comic book, some kind of way.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And being that you were on the ground floor with the creation of Kyle Rayner,
yes,
and you've been in the game for so long, you've influenced so many artists, so many writers, so many people who just love comic books and love the game. I'm interested to know, you growing up in a different era, who were some of your idols that you looked up to in creativity, and who got you into this?
That's a long list. I'd say I'd pretty much start from the beginning. When I was in grade school, I loved the work of John Romita Sr. His work on Spider-Man and Daredevil, I just thought, like, that's the pinnacle. That's as good as it gets. Now, I would go on to appreciate a lot of different artists, but he's the one that really just made me really inspired what to draw. But, you know, as a kid, I didn't start out with superheroes. I like stuff like sharks, easier stuff. Dragsters with the big wheels, and attempts at dinosaurs, you know. I just wasn't comfortable enough to try people yet. And I kind of worked my way. But, you know, fortunately, I had a lot of encouragement from my parents, from relatives that kept encouraging me to keep drawing. And that's my thing to anybody else, whether it's your children or just maybe kids in the neighborhood. If you see them with an interest in art, give them a little nudge. Sometimes it doesn't take much. It's not necessarily you got to buy them a scholarship somewhere, but just tell them, pat them on the back, good job, keep up the good work. Because hearing positive things is powerful in an adult. It's even magnified when we're talking about a child, because they're still growing. They're growing into their confidence, And so for you to reach out and say, hey, that's really good. I think you're really gonna amount to something. That's like the concrete isn't solid yet. It's like you see wet concrete,
right?
And it's like it's starting to set. You say something positive to set them on that path, and then by the time the concrete hardens, they're going to be a positive influence. I get a little choked up about that because that's a passion about mine, is like having an influence on children so they'll realize they have worth and value.
Now, as a teacher, you've helped shape and mold young artists of all walks of life. What do you think is the most important thing as an artist if you're trying to learn and you're trying to grow in the art?
Understand that don't be afraid of rejection. Don't be afraid of failure, because you will. You've probably seen that scene out of Rocky Balboa. It's like it's not how hard you hit, but how hard you can get hit and get back up. That'll happen as you're growing. It's like learning anything else, but it's not just the craft itself. It's your character. Character is very powerful. Professionalism. That's something I should tell my students all the time. They're focused on the techniques and the painting and the drawing. I have gotten work over artists who are far superior to me artistically. Wow. I got the job because the companies could relate to me. I communicate. I show up on time. I arrive early, leave late. These things, they're what I call the intangible. Now, the talent, that's a part of it, but I would say maybe 60%. But the rest of those intangibles, I'll just be real about it. Use correct English. Mm-hmm. You show that you're professional. Because if you are a business, isn't that who you want to hire? You want to project it, even if that's not you at home. But when you're relating, when you're talking about treating it like a business, that's the thing. Treat your education and your work like a business. Whether it's at a store, at a studio, or even at a convention, it's like take it seriously. Take it seriously, and don't be afraid of failure because you're going to. It's not a negative statement. Just if you really want to grow, you're going to swing and miss. But there's 3 outs. It's like if you strike out, well, you get back up, try it again. And I say that because I think if there were times I wanted to quit. Rejection. You get a rejection letter from something you're trying to do. That hurts. At least it did for me. Because when I was younger, I had a very low self-esteem. I was too small for sports and all that kind of stuff. Drawing was all I had. And so when I wasn't doing well at that was painful. But like I said, fortunately, I had a lot of encouragement from my people. So being able to stick with it, and you'll find out, even as a professional, I've been doing this professionally since 1989, and even before that as an amateur and going to school. The thing is, at 2 a.m., it's work. You might feel passionate, it might be your own work, but that's the thing, it's going to be work. It's not like, I'm going to get into art because that sounds fun. It's fun sometimes, right? But the end result can be fun, but when you're actually doing it to a deadline, doing it to a production schedule, it's work. W-O-R-K. My dad worked at a steel mill. It's like there were times where I felt like I didn't work as hard as him, but it's still work. I might be drawing a superhero or whatever, but when you've got to do it a certain way or make corrections and the clock is ticking, that's work. That's work. And then on top of that, you want to be competitive because you don't want to take any technique you're doing for granted because there's somebody else right around the corner that might do it a little bit better. You'll find out how bad you want, especially if you're struggling, you feel like giving up. Understand that there's somebody else that might want it a little bit more than you, but you be that person. You be the standard setter. You want someone to say, I want to work as hard as that person. You want to be that person they're talking about. I hope that made sense because I tend to ramble.
No, that was good. That was good. Now, being that you've been in the business for so long and you've already worked with some phenomenal people, who did you like working with the most? And is there anyone you would love to work with in the future?
I've been blessed to work with a lot of talented people, both artistically and writing. I mean, just throughout my entire career. I really have to just admit that right off the bat. When you mention who would I like to work with, that list is pretty long too. But I often think about the late great Dwayne McDuffie.
Wow.
I live in regret never getting a chance to work with him. We were convention neighbors at the Mid-Ohio Con one year, and boy, we just vibed and gelled so well. I thought we got to work together, and never happened. We lost him, you know. And I think about that often. Like, what if? What could we have created? What could we have done together? Oh wow! I mean, I just imagine, you know. The more I talked with him, he was so intelligent without being, you know what I mean, about being snotty about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? He was that kind of intelligent. You know,
organic intelligence.
You know what I mean? He was organic. I like that. He was organically intelligent. And not that intelligence is rare, but he was real people. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That he was intelligent, but he was real people. I didn't know him well. I only met him once in person, and he left that kind of impression on me. So yeah, if you've heard anything about him, you wonder, well, was he really like that? Well, he was that. He seemed that way to me. But as far as people who are in the business now who I'd like to work with, I'd actually need to think about that, because it's a long list. There's a lot of people, both new and experienced, because there's a lot of upcoming talent that they're going to make waves.
Spit out a name off the top of your head.
Well, artistically, I'd have to say I would love to work with my heroes. I think about.
I'm in here already.
Is that DMC? Ever heard of him?
How you doing?
How's it going, man?
Yes, that's Darryl McDaniels. But right now, we're talking to Darryl Banks. He's also awesome.
I would love to work with one of my heroes, Alan Davis, British superstar. He's a huge influence on my work. Writing. Well, you know, Ron Mars and myself, we caught lightning in a bottle. You know, any chance I get to work with him, and actually we are putting some things together. I like working with Ron because he's a writer, but he thinks visually.
Right.
Because he knows a lot of art, so he's not trying to put on airs with dialogue. His characters speak like people talk. It's not, you don't feel like, let me show you how eloquent my vocabulary. You know, his characters sound like people. Case in point, when there was a character that died earlier on in our run in Green Lantern, her name was Alex. It was Kyle Rayner's girlfriend. When she died, we got so many letters. You would think she was an established DC Universe character.
I remember that book.
She had maybe been around 3 months, maybe. But you know, Ron really had a strong vision for her character, even though unfortunately she was created to die, to give Kyle a more of an incentive to pursue being a superhero, not treat the ring like a fun gimmick. You know, just like Peter Parker had Uncle Ben.
Right.
Right off the bat, she was created to be Uncle Ben. Really, is what it was. So that's one of the main reasons I like working with him, and you know, we plan on doing more things. You haven't seen the last of our team.
Now, your credentials are well established, but is there anything that you're working on in the future? Any projects that's about to be released that you would like the Blerd Together audience to know about?
I do a lot of character design and gaming work for PhilSingerGames.com.
Wow.
I've done toy designs for Hasbro, a little for Mattel. Just freelancing. You know, you draw where you're needed, and where it's a good business opportunity. Open for expansion. Oh, I do a lot of concept art for the Bradford Exchange. They're kind of like similar to the Franklin Mint, kind of.
Right.
Where we do a lot of licensed property type of things. You know, and it's never a dull moment. You know, I might be doing something for the NFL. It might be something for Disney. You know, so it really keeps the creative juices flowing. I love it. I love it.
And one last thing. Is there any way that the Blerd Together audience can contact you or just follow you online or anything?
I'm on most social media. I'm on Facebook, Darryl Banks. I'm on Twitter at Real Bankster.
Real Bankster on Twitter.
Instagram, GL Prime. Although honestly, that's more fun pics, like me and some of my toy collection, that sort of thing. You want to kind of get more of a personal angle of my life, but yeah, and also have a comicartfans.com gallery where it has a link to my email.
Comic Art Fans Gallery. All right. Darryl Banks, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the interview. Blerd Together.
Thank you.